Coming up this week on Beyond the Vibe, we're joined by John Hartwell of These Wicked Rivers.
I got through all this like pop stuff, and then it was the first time I'd ever really heard like loud guitars and things like that, and I was like, that's amazing, I want to do that. So someone lent me the tab book for Use Your Illusion 2 as well.
Alright, so that's the step up then, isn't it?
Well, that's where I thought, look, I can't do this, I'm going to stick to rhythm guitar.
I need to start singing.
Yeah.
Well.
I can't wait to be playing Evergreen. I love that song so much, and Arran would love it.
Absolutely.
I can feel that Arran would just slot straight in.
Absolutely awesome. Not a problem. Not a problem. I mean, that'd have been my choice anyway. What upsets me the most is Dan would probably be on board with this. That's what probably scares me the most.
The show that cuts deep into the world of music.
My name is Arran Day, lead guitarist, UK band These Wicked Rivers, and I am here on the sofa with music videographer and photographer. It's Mr. Ryan Vasey.
It is.
It is. How are you doing?
We're doing all right.
It's a miracle that Mr. Vasey's still with us.
We're still here.
We had to do a sacrifice to keep him with us in this world.
Yes.
But he's
We're still here. We're still going.
I mean, I think he's an inspiration when we had Mr. Scott from the Suite, obviously last week, because he's looking good, man. I mean, he's obviously knocking on a little bit, you know. So we should take that as inspiration. And his hair, for me, is a particular inspiration as well. But this week we have my lead singer.
Yes, it's a bit of a different kind of thing this week, isn't it? First time that we've had another band member of the same band.
Ever so personal.
I know.
Ever so personal. It ties in nicely because obviously we have the release of the new Wave of Classic Rock Volume 1 as well.
We do, which has of course just come out, and as if by magic, it is there.
It's like Blue Peter, but shitter, but scruffier. But yeah, new Wave of Classic Rock Volume 1. I mean, we've been lucky enough, Mr. Vasey, haven't we, to have a chat with most of the geezers on there.
Yes,
and gals.
Yeah, we were looking through the track list, and we were like, we've spoke to quite a few of these people, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I've said before, it's proud for me and the boys to be on there. Looking back, I can't remember the point when we kind of entered the new wave of classic rock sort of vibe. Like, from looking back, for me, it kind of feels like we were all gigging around the same sort of scene. I mean, we quickly became aware of bands like Massive Wagons because they started to get more Planet Rock airplay. It was like, okay, Wagons are sort of the Saxon of the movement, you know, the band. Because I always remember Maiden in the early days always describing Saxon as the band they always looked up to. So they were always gigging and always kind of on that next tier, and Wagons were a bit like that. And then obviously Mason Hill and Scam, you know. I remember playing a charity event with Scam about 5-6 years ago, you know, and to think how much we've all grown as bands since then is amazing, really, you know. And I think the New Wave Class Volume 1's kind of a cool amalgamation of all of that. You know.
No, that's cool. Obviously, we've had numerous reviews come out, haven't we?
Yes, we have, yes.
Lots of positive ones.
Yes, and I think a lot of people that really understand kind of the community around the movement. Obviously, there was that Jeff Barton one.
Yeah.
Classic rock. And to be fair, I can see a lot of things with what Jeff's saying, but I think it was cool that there was that follow-up article as well that came from somebody that kind of understood the community element of it and put that across, you know.
I think it's like what we were talking about just before we started recording. I think because there is this community thing, and it's all kind of, it's really cool. It's like a nice tight-knit community and stuff. But maybe for somebody that's knows nothing of any of these bands, doesn't know they exist, you know, and then they buy the CD, they open it, and like if you see the words new wave of classic rock, maybe they take it literally. So maybe it's like
they're not a part of the family yet.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they don't understand this whole thing that's going on around it. They've just picked up the CD and they go, "Oh, it's new classic rock." It's what it is on the tin.
And for me, new classic rock in its like purest form is probably Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah, this is it. Like I imagine
the average Joe that's taking it is a very literal thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and maybe that's where some of the problems have come from. Because there's some people that don't understand any of that, and they've just picked the CD up, and then they've gone, "Oh well, not all of these are literally new wave of classic rock bands." So maybe they had a bit of a disappointing thing where they were like, "Oh well, this isn't that."
Yeah, I think it's all part of the development of the movement as well.
Yeah.
As new people come into it, there'll be some bands. Like, if anything, though, I mean, we spoke about it and compared it to the new wave of British heavy metal.
Yeah.
Because of the Metal for Mothers album, there was bands like Greta the Frog and
some class names.
Ethel the Frog. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I would like a follow-up band with Greta the Frog.
Greta the Frog. Yeah. I mean, that's the next. If Rivers
that's
goes
my new
to
band.
Shit,
Yeah.
me writing Hartwell or kickstart something. But only Maiden really came from the Metal for Mothers album. So there's bands that will come and go, and not every band is for everyone. That's the beauty of the movement, though, is that you can pick and choose what bands you dig.
I think that's the thing with compilation albums anyway. Like, I don't know any compilation album ever where you like absolutely everything on it. Like, it's just not possible. There's 42 tracks on this. Like, if you like all 42, then fair enough.
Yeah.
I think you're probably a massive fan at that point. But I think for average Joe, there's always going to be a bit of a mixed bag. We talked about when, Classic Rock magazine, they used to have the little CDs.
Yeah. It reminded me very much of that.
Yeah, and it reminded me of that as well. And it was, there's never going to be, even on that, I used to flick through some bands that I was like, that's not for me.
Yeah.
But, I like this. So it's...
Answer, Blackstone, Roadstar, they all came to me through them. Rose Hill Drive all came through me through them. The Classic Rock CDs. And I think this will provide a really good platform for people to get into the bands that are right for them at this point, and
this is it.
Gives the gateway to the new bands. But if I wanted to find the gateway segue,
here we go,
to this week's interview with John Hartwell of These Wicked Rivers, where could I find that?
You can find that here now.
So we're here with my bandmate, Mr. John Hartwell of These Wicked Rivers. How are you doing, Sloppy Chops?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
It's all right. First time I've ever called anyone Sloppy Chops. Pretty sure it's
the
not
last time you'll ever call me Sloppy Chops.
It's always. I'm pretty sure it's not a phrase you call people.
I don't think it is, to be honest. But let's go with it.
I enjoyed it. You've got Sloppy Chops, haven't you? Because you're a singer.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Welcome to our realm of Beyond the Vibe. Thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate it. It's going to be a weird thing interviewing you from this perspective, but hopefully Ryan can be the referee in the middle of it and help guide us along the way.
Yes, of course. For those that don't know, obviously Hartwell is in the same band as yourself, so it has a bit of a different flavour this week. We thought we'd try something different. Obviously, it looks a bit different this week as well because it's the first one that we're doing that's entirely based on Zoom. Obviously, you're in a different room. Some people will go, it feels wrong.
Some people will ask questions.
I know.
Did Ryan finally make the move on Arran? We don't know.
No one will know.
The rumours will fly around, but we just want to reassure that everything is fine between the two of us, and it's just so that we can get more interviews and more content out for you. And we thought nobody'd be better than lovely John Hartwell as the first guinea pig. with his sloppy guinea pig chops.
So with that in mind, when was the first time do you remember hearing music and thinking like, this is what I want to do? Like, was there a moment for you?
I think it was probably the first time I heard Cigarettes and Alcohol by Oasis. And I think it was on like Now 18 or something like that. It was the same Now album that had Saturday Night by Wigfield on it. And I got through all this like pop stuff, and then it was the first time I'd ever really heard like loud guitars and things like that. And I was like, that's amazing. I want to do that.
So that was, of course, like around that kind of Britpop kind of 90s era, wasn't it?
Yes. Similar to Dan, I was massively into my Britpop in the 90s.
It's hard to imagine now, obviously, like, with you doing like a southern rock kind of band. But it's interesting.
At that point when you heard cigarettes and alcohol, what was the instant inspiration, Hartwell? Was it guitar or vocals?
To be honest, at the time, it just sounded so sort of rebellious compared to everything else that was on that compilation CD. And all of a sudden, that comes up out of nowhere. And then a few tracks later, I think you've got Part Life by Blur as well. And just following on from the likes of Wigfield Saturday Night, which is what I'd listened to before that.
So in terms of that progression, because I've seen a picture of you recently with a Union Jack Epiphone Sheraton in the birthday celebrations as you turned 28. And
it wasn't an Epiphone Sheraton. I couldn't afford one of them.
What was it? Was it like a cheap
Aria
knockoff?
Pro 2 copy.
Very nice.
Top class.
Absolute quality. I mean, like, was your progression from that route then? Did you start having guitar lessons, and then singing? Did that come as you started to join bands? How was that sort of overall journey?
I didn't ever have any guitar lessons. I bought the Definitely Maybe tab book and the What's the Story Morning Glory tab book. And I think I borrowed an REM one off someone else. And then I can't remember where I went from there learning others. I think I just started talking to other friends that play guitar and got them to teach me stuff.
What then? Go on.
So someone lent me the tab book for Use Your Illusion 2 as well.
All right, so that's the step up then, isn't it?
Well, that's where I thought, I can't do this. I'm going to stick to rhythm guitar.
I need to start singing.
Yeah.
What was the first band you started singing in, do you reckon?
The first band I started singing in, it was a band called Downside.
Good name.
We were pretty terrible.
Was that the
19,
downside?
Something like that. I was about 19, and it was sort of pop punk grunge crossover. And I think we might have done like a Nirvana cover, probably like a Green Day cover or two. I think we covered the Beekeepers as well. But yeah, that was the first band I started singing in. And then that sort of, the drummer from that band moved away to uni, started a new band, got Dan in on the drums.
And this is where the story begins. Yeah,
and that was a metal band called Circle's End, also terrible.
So kind of moving forward, so to hopefully the first part of your musical career that wasn't terrible, me, you and the boys came together in 2014, which feels mad. Which feels mad now, man. I don't know about you.
It doesn't seem that long, does it?
No, I mean when we first, as a band, if you see that, I don't know if you've ever seen the first picture we did, the promo picture, right? But
yes,
like I've got a chin strap and a goatee. Like,
and you've not got much hair either, and I've got even less hair on it.
Yeah, I know you've got short hair. I've got like a tiny little bloody man bun that was working.
You just finished growing out your emo fringe.
I was on that transition from emo to and I joined the band. It's like, shit, I need to grow a beard pretty quickly.
You had to stick with the chin strap though for a while.
Yeah. You're a good look, man. You're a good look. I mean, looking back, Hartwell, what was the moment for you, right, personally, whether it be a practice, writing a certain song, or one of our gigs where you thought, this is going to be good, this is different to what you'd been through before?
I mean, it was probably when people started showing up at gigs. Like, after years of playing to empty rooms. But no, so I think the music just clicked straight away, didn't it, from your first practice with us? rehearsal with us, it just all clicked. And then I think my main memory from sort of the earliest days is when we were jamming "Don't Pray for Me," and just sort of, I was like, Rich has written this song and he wants us to have it, and I played it to you, and then you all just started jamming along, and it sounded massive. And
I have a very similar memory. That'd probably be mine. You know, I remember being really excited about Pray, sort of straight away, and just what I mean. Bless him, my dad in the early days, where I used to, because I didn't drive, used to sit in the car outside practice for about 3 hours, and then in Langley Mill, and I remember just going out to him and just being like, "Oh, we just jammed this song called Pray for Me. It's fucking awesome. Like it's so sick, you know." And it's almost like a childlike excitement in them early days with the band, isn't it?
Didn't you go and fetch your dad to come and listen to it because we were that pleased with us?
We did that a couple of times in the early days. Right, honestly, we did that a lot, didn't we? We get me dad. Oh God, I forgot about that. We used to get me dad in this really hot fucking practice room with 4 like sweaty.
Look, Dad, look what I've done.
Listen to the noise. Look, I did that. They were shit before I came. Look at this. But yeah, we used to get my old man in a lot, didn't we?
We did, yeah. He used to give us some pretty honest opinions as well.
I know, well, that's the brutality of my father. But, hopefully it made us better as time went on.
I think it probably did.
So obviously, like, this is a bit of a different interview. As Arran is obviously a guitarist in your band. So what was your initial thoughts when Arran came in? Like, what was the like on that first practice, the moment he walked through the door?
My first thought was, I wish he hadn't told me that story about the caravan.
We have forgot about that, yeah.
That was his opening gambit when he came in for his audition.
Well, what is this caravan thing?
It's just a horrible story. You don't even need to know.
I feel like we have to tell the story now, though.
I can't really remember it that well. I can just remember being.
It weren't that bad. I'd come in, and at the time, I'd literally just basically what happened is, I mean, this was years ago. My ex-missus at the time, I'd been on holiday with her and a dad, and I basically said, "Look, I've got a rehearsal. I've got an audition with this band," and bless him, her dad drove me all the way back from Cornwall. I mean, they'll come back anyway, but instead of stopping in Leicester, drove me all the way back to Kegworth, and then my dad drove me to this practice, and I got there just on time. And I said, "Oh, sorry if I stink, boys. I've been in a caravan all week with my missus. We've not been shagging. I had the shits." And that was basically my opening line to present myself to the band. And I think that first practice, Hallam wasn't there, was he?
No, he wasn't actually. It was just me and Dan.
Yeah, no, I think I brought Can't Take It in that first practice as well.
I mean, all I can remember you bringing is a Metal Zone.
I bet Ryan doesn't know what a Metal Zone is, do you, Ryan?
What is, for those that aren't musical people?
I've got it up there. So it's everybody's first distortion pedal, and it basically emulates like a horrific fizzy metal guitar tone. It
emulates a beehive.
And I bought that as my only sound, like that, my Marshall, which was pretty broken by that point, and a Les Paul that was also very broken, like, because I just hadn't been in bands for a long time, and I still got the gig, which is a miracle. An absolute miracle.
We were desperate. What can I say?
Don't say that. Don't get nasty.
We just needed someone.
Anybody off the street. Well, we interviewed Rich Shaw recently on the show, and we were speaking about how crazy it is, how so many things happen in life that bring us to where we are now. And Rich was talking about the fact that Dan had to have that conversation with him about him doing too much because he joined Pray when he was going to play with Rivers, and obviously if Dan hadn't had that conversation, I might have not joined the band. I might not have met Jade. I wouldn't have a wonderful relationship with yourself, and obviously Sam and Daniel and Hallam, and at the same time, Rich wouldn't have met his partner with Cradle, you know, and wouldn't have had a baby, you know. So it's incredible how certain things just dictate the way the rest of your life goes, you know. And it's crazy to think how far we've come, as you say, from like that first practice.
Yeah, I mean, no one's come further than your pedal board.
There is a big development from that first practice. Fucking hell. Dan's drum kit's actually diminished, hasn't it?
Yeah, because he had that horrible full-on prog metal setup, didn't he?
Fuck me. That was
the rack.
Quickly got rid of that, Ryan. Quickly got rid of that. Sent me store out. Good times. It's crazy thinking about. Crazy.
So the recent album Eden is obviously out. It came out last year. When you had the collection of songs and songs and walked into the studio, did you have like a certain vibe that you wanted to achieve with the record? And you know, like how did you go about it at the time?
So, what, the actual recording sessions?
Yeah, I mean, like you know, when you would go like all coming up with the songs, or like maybe when you went into the studio, if anything changed at that point.
I mean, I think by the time we got to the studio, we'd got the songs sort of pretty much finalised. We knew how we wanted everything to be. We knew the sound we wanted, and then an hour before the end of our last practice, our last rehearsal, before we went to the studio, Arran decided to chime in with, oh, by the way, I've written an entire new song. We've got an hour to learn it. I want to record it for the album. And then he showed us Shine On. So we had to learn the entire song in an hour.
Did it though, didn't we?
We did. We smashed it. We'd all got a very strong idea of what sound we wanted for the album, what kind of vibe we wanted, and I think the place we recorded it was the perfect place for that vibe as well, sort of out in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere in Wales. Sort of gave it this. I think it gave it sort of this real rootsy sort of sound, just being in that environment while we were recording it.
How did you find staying away, Hartwell? Like between the four of us for 2 weeks?
I thought it was awesome, apart from being stuck with Dan on FIFA. Dan's rubbish at FIFA.
He's fucking shit, isn't he? I love nothing more than finishing a day's recording than me and Sam smashing you and Dan on FIFA.
Whoever was stuck with Dan was fucked.
I agree though. I think being away and being in that sort of like cut off, I think it just that the vibe just felt like it was right for. I mean, the album being called Eden as well, like it just felt like it was right, didn't it, man? It was a good experience for us.
Yeah, I absolutely loved sort of every second of it, really.
No, me too, man.
Yeah, sort of Jethro as well sort of added to the vibe. He felt like part of the family almost straight away.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I think that helped because we could be honest with him and he could be honest with us, and we could do what we felt was best for the band and for the album overall. I mean, we're now one album deep. We've done one mini album. We've done a single. We've done an EP. I mean, looking back on The Enemy, which is our first EP, I mean, do you think there's anything we've retained from that original sound that we've put into like where we are now and the material we're putting out now?
Not particularly, really, is there? It's a very different sound now. So,
why do you reckon we've developed like that over time, like reflecting back over it?
I think that first EP, it was very much sort of, well, my guitar sound was very much what I was listening to at the time, which was all sort of like big hollow body guitars with way too much fuzz on and stuff like that.
Gary Clark and all that.
And I think we all listened to sort of very different music to each other at the time, and parts of that album, I think the sounds of our guitars clash with each other a bit. Now it's sort of, we've come together and we've sort of formed an actual sound, and I think our guitars sort of complement each other pretty well.
I'd agree.
There's much more, like from looking in, it feels much more like a unit now than just a group of individuals. And that was the thing for me. It was like, I think it's one of those things where it's like over time, it just needs time, doesn't it, to just develop, and then you kind of form your own sound. I think any band, when they start, they just pull from other influences, don't they? Like, and over time, you just create your own thing, so it becomes something different, doesn't it? Like,
yeah, and I think The Enemy was when we were in that first stage where it wasn't really our sound. It was just sort of a combination of stuff we liked, but it wasn't really us. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally get that.
I'd resonate with that completely. I love that kind of the way you articulated that, Ryan, that kind of that idea of it being a group rather than a collection of individuals. And I think I really resonate with that, particularly when it came to Eden. Like, I felt like that was the first time I'd ever written anything. Sam had written lyrics, and it was the first time with Sam as well. I feel like that was a really climactic point for us.
When it comes to gigging Eden, finally, is there any songs fans can expect to be on the set list? Any songs that you're kind of particularly looking forward to finally touring and playing?
I can't wait to be playing Evergreen. I love that song so much.
You love it, don't you? I can see it in your little eyes. Like when
like weirdly, when we were writing and Arran played that riff, I was like, "That's horrible. I don't want to use that in a song."
Disgrace.
And I was wrong. I'll admit it. I was wrong.
It was originally called Redneck Dickhead, wasn't it? Because we thought it was too redneck.
Yeah.
And then we kind of, I think, once we jammed it out as a group. I mean, we normally know within about the first 10 seconds whether it's us or not, don't we?
Yeah.
You got any other ones you're looking forward to?
I mean, to be honest, I'm just so excited about playing all of it live. I'm excited about playing the older stuff from 2 and things like that as well. I just can't wait to get out there, start playing everything live. There's not really, other than Evergreen, one song that stands out above all the others. I just can't wait to play all of it.
Me too, man. One of the things, as you'll know from a keen listener of The Snow, when you're washing your dishes, could have ended that sentence many ways, but one of the things that we like to do is talk to performers about kind of being on stage and being a different character on stage. You know, the fact that you kind of, when you step on, I mean, one of the things that we do as a band is to kind of dress up a little bit and kind of go into that embodiment of what we want to portray. When it came to forming your character for Rivers, like obviously I've seen that develop over time, and I've seen your confidence massively develop over time, which made me really proud, man. And what do you think goes into your character on stage? Because I've always found you particularly quite moody, and quite intense, and I've always loved that about being the guy next to you. What do you reckon goes into that as an inspiration?
To be honest, I think that's just the way that playing the music makes me sort of feel sort of quite intense, and that it's not anything I've actually put any thought into. It's just, I think it is just me on the stage, and it's because people are sort of looking at me. I guess it kind of, I don't know, it's kind of just a more full-on version of me, really. Because obviously I've got you boys behind me as well. I find it a lot easier to be confident with you boys behind me than I do sort of say when I'm playing an acoustic set or whatever, like I did obviously over the lockdown. But yeah, I think it's not something I really put much thought into as sort of a character. It's just me.
No, I like that. I think
But
that
better dressed.
less scruffy.
Which style?
Fish style. I like that. I mean, right, a lot of people tend to come at us with that sort of similar answer, don't they? I think the ones that put a lot of thought into their inspiration, we find it normally comes off the wrong way, doesn't it? You know, like into their character on stage.
Yeah, I think it can do. Yeah.
I think there's a danger you can overthink what you're doing. Like, you can tell, can't you? Like, if you go to a gig or whatever, and you can see the singers like really trying hard. You know what I mean? Like an asserted effort. It doesn't feel natural or real, does it?
Again, so sometimes that can work though in sort of a more sort of theatrical stage show kind of setting. Sort of like Rich's band Cradle of Filth. That's sort of they're all playing characters on stage pretty much. Ghost as well, bands like that. There's a lot of theatrical metal bands where that amount of thought really does pay off, but in a completely different way.
That's totally fair point, isn't it? Now, on the show, we like to ask like some weird questions that we throw out there. So for These Wicked Rivers' next album, hypothetically, you've been told that you have to do another genre. Like you've got a gun to your head. What would that genre be? And what would you name the album?
Careful, Hartwell.
What would you name the album?
Careful, because remember, I'm involved in this hypothetical.
Yes, you're tied in.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I've been listening to quite a lot of pop recently. Sort of the more modern. Arran, look at Arran's face. He hates it. He hates that I listen to pop music. So I'd probably go sort of the sort of synthwave pop kind of angle.
Fantastic.
And Arran would love it.
Absolutely.
I can feel that Arran would just slot straight in.
Absolutely awesome. Not a problem. I mean, that'd have been my choice anyway. What would you call the album?
I'd call it "This Is Arran's Favourite Album."
With just a picture of Arran, like.
Yeah, I think, and somewhere on there there'd be like a Dua Lipa cover or something like that, I think.
Jesus Christ. And what upsets me the most is Dan would probably be on board with this. That's what probably scares me the most.
It feels like the natural.
You don't know this, but me and Dan have been trying to figure out how to play Physical by Dua Lipa.
Jesus.
Absolute belter, that song.
If anyone would like to donate to my foundation to keep me in these wicked rivers, I'll do a thing at the end. Where do you reckon you see the band in 10 years' time, Hartwell? Obviously, we're 7 years down the line. That'd be 17 years, man. That I'd have put up with you. Do you know what I mean? It's a long time.
That is a long time. Sam will probably be in his 30s by then.
Oh, he'd look like he's in his 70s.
I don't know, to be honest. Hopefully, still the same lineup. Still enjoying what we do. And as long as we're enjoying it, that's sort of... Obviously, it'd be nice if we were loaded. But yeah, as long as we're still enjoying it, man, that's all I really want.
No, I like that, man. I think that's a really nice way of putting it. You know, I love the fact you said the same lineup. You know, I think that's really cool, because I think what we've got between the group that we have at the minute is very close. You know, and we work really well together and we look after each other, which is the most important thing. And not a lot of bands have that. You know, we've been very lucky that we've only ever had one lineup change in the 7 years we've been together.
Yeah, it's pretty rare actually, isn't it? When you look at all this sort of other bands around us and stuff.
Yeah, I'm very, very grateful for it. I mean, Hallam going was, I think, a big thing for us, but I think Sam's made he's just made us as close as possible. You know, and I think he's been with us 4 years now. You know, he's part of the furniture, isn't he? But no,
and Hallam still occasionally shows up at our houses to annoy us as well.
Yeah, he does do that. Fucking, he lives down the road from me now and all. So I think eventually we'll build an outhouse at the bottom of the garden for him to grow old in.
To grow old, he's already there.
For folks that obviously want to check the band out, what gigs have we got planned coming up? Now, obviously, I know this, so
No
We've
pressure, John.
we've got the Tivoli with those damn crows, and lots of other. Lots
You're
of
reading
other.
it looks like you're reading it on your hand, and all you could fit was the Tivoli, and you're still looking at it going, "You've got the Tivoli with those damn and lots of others."
Then we've got Fab Fest in Colville. Then supporting the Hot Dam, the Boss.
The Boss, the
in Blackpool. It is in Blackpool, isn't it, that one?
Yeah, you're fine, you do well.
Yeah.
That was the most natural thing I've seen.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Gig with Wagons in Morecambe. Can't wait for that.
That'd be a good gig.
And then the tour as well in September.
I know, man. You did well. You get a little round of applause there for
Completely unprompted.
always a pro.
Always.
How do you feel about the tour?
I can't wait. I'm so excited. My diet starts tomorrow to fit in my gig shirt again. It was going to start today, but then I had to get ready for this, so I got a Macca's instead.
Oh, that's not your fault. That's me and Ryan's fault.
The only way to start a diet.
The diet's starting tomorrow. I did actually put in an order with Tesco for tomorrow, and they're delivering vegetables.
Shit.
I know, I'm taking it that seriously.
Your body will go into
serious.
shock. You're getting sweats. So obviously one thing that we like to finish the show on is it's a bit of a hypothetical question. So if you could pick one band from the past and one band from the present to tour with, who would they be?
Right. Aaron's going to hate this as well.
Oh, here we go.
This is the problem. Everything you decide impacts on me.
It's the first time that we've got a
it's
direct
ever happened.
thing there.
Band from the present, I'd probably say Highly Suspect.
Yeah, that's all right. It's all right.
And band from the past, I'm always stuck between the same two bands, and that's Pearl Jam and Aerosmith. But I think I'd have to say Aerosmith just because I know that the rest of the band are bigger fans of Aerosmith than Pearl Jam.
It's nice. You've tried to comment. I mean, I've got no problem with that. I think that's a solid lineup. I mean, if we got a call tomorrow, do you know what I mean? Dan's obviously picked it up. He's looking at it straight
From his kitchen.
From his kitchen. He says, "Let me just give me a minute," and they'll get all set, get everything lined up. He'll get his Britney mic on. He'll go, "Hey, up, yeah."
You never saw him with the Britney mic on.
No, but I do in my nightmares.
I think I might have a photo of it somewhere.
I don't need to see it. Don't imprint it on me because then it makes it more real. Do you know what I mean? And then I have to live with the tremors even more. So the gigs come up. We've got those guys supporting, and then Highly Suspect in the middle, and then headlining Raven Aerosmith. I mean, I think that's a
strong lineup.
That's a good gig, man. That is.
It is.
I bet you'd be shitting a brick before you went on, wouldn't you? Because I know I would be.
I'd be more scared if we had to go on after Highly Suspect, I think.
Yeah, I suppose we can come out and do our thing, and then we get to just relax, have a drink, and just watch.
I've seen Highly Suspect live like 3 or 4 times now, and my God, they're incredible live. To say it's just the one guitar, that guitar sound is massive.
I didn't know they just had one guitar. Yeah,
just the one guitar. He plays either a Telecaster or a Strat through some insane fuzz pedal.
Mm. You have tried to recommend Highly Suspect to me several times, and one day I will engage in it.
I think, to be honest, you'll only like the first 2 albums, and then after that you might.
Didn't it all go a bit pop at that point?
It's a weird one because like the new album, it's got some synthwave tracks on it, some hip hop tracks. Then it's got a few full-on rock tracks. It's got one full-on metal track with Gojira guesting on it.
Wow, that's interesting.
Like, it's all of the genres, every single one of them.
Bloody hell. I'll have to check him out. Right, John, thanks ever so much for chatting to us, brother. Appreciate it. As Mr. Hartwell very professionally put, we are on tour with Blackwater Conspiracy. That kicks off at the beginning of September. It's the first time we've done up and down the country, so we'd love it if you check us out, and we'll hope to see you on the road soon. Thanks ever so much, brother. It's good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
I'll
see you in a week
Fuck
or
it,
something.
a week. Two, whatever it is, it'll probably be too soon. I don't mean it. I love you. 7 years, man. It's like a marriage.
It is.
So when is the release of the synthwave pop?
Oh, Aaron Day's favourite album.
Yeah.
We're building up to it now.
Self-titled.
I'll never allow this to happen. I know we've done the hypothetical in the interview. That doesn't set it in stone.
I mean, it could be possible because obviously Foo Fighters have done.
Why are you trying to hurt me? Why are you?
Well, their guitarist Pat Smear, he didn't look very chuffed about it.
No, I've seen them. I listened to their album recently. I enjoyed it. I thought it was alright. I mean, I can't imagine Hartwell in them sort of high notes as much as I'd try and push him to.
But yeah, he wasn't looking into it, so it's possible. It could happen.
It's definitely the next evolution of these Wicked Rivers, isn't it?
I would love to see that happen.
I'm sure you would. I'm sure you would.
Just totally new look, new gear.
It's crazy. It was nice chatting to Hartwell. I think it was a cool, different vibe for the interview. You know, it was to be able to kind of go, because it was pretty much both of us going back in time. Really, like I said, it's been 7 years, and going through them initial experiences. And I really enjoyed doing that with Hartwell. You know, it made me quite nostalgic, and it made us proud of not just how far we've come, but how far Hartwell's come.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is it with people in general. I think you perhaps lose perspective of where you started and then where you're at now. If you don't quite realise until you do look back, that's quite a long way that you've come from the very beginning. As we mentioned in the episode with the photo, even just the first photo. Like even the writing of these Wicked Rivers, it looks totally different. It's like a different band.
Yeah. Like the quality as well. Like no credit to Ali, but it feels like everything's changed, and it is a long time though. I think it's an important thing to note for young or old bands is to remember where you started and to be proud of everything that you've been through up to this point. Because I think it's easy to get lost, even for us, right, with the vibe.
Yeah.
I mean, we've come a long way since the first time we chatted to Mr. Heavens.
Yes, it's a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah.
'Cause again, that looks completely different.
We were doing it off my laptop, weren't we?
Yeah.
And for those that do want to check out our first episode, have a laugh at the thing, and then we had Danny, Mr. Delacruz after that, So it's mad to think how far we've come. We've reflected on it when we ended season 1, didn't we? So I think it's important for bands to always remain positive and be proud of how far you've come, whether it's over the space of 10 years or 40 years, It's why I liked our interview, particularly we spoke about at the start with Mr. Andy Scott. Sweet, he feels constantly looking forward, constantly proud of where they're at now, and just wanting to continue to grow and experience things. And I think that's the best mindset to have.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see where you guys are in, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years.
As long as I've lost a bit of weight, I don't mind. I need to hopefully have more tattoos and not lost too much hair.
Face tattoo and doing synthwave.
Synthwave pop and a load of face tattoos.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Teardrop.
Jeez.
Just right there.
I reckon that'll be Hartwell. He'd have had a couple of years in the nick by then. Your Majesties, and we'd be eaten alive. So he's got a little teardrop.
But yes, that is it for this week.
On that note,
if you like what we're doing, you can subscribe and follow us, and we'll get there's videos out every week on Saturday from 10 a.m. And if you want to find out what guest we have for the podcast, you can head over to our Facebook page, and on a Wednesday at 10 we reveal who that guest is in a trailer.
We do, and as Mr. Vasey said, we had a wide variety of different artists, mainly from the rock world, but we do venture into a few different worlds, don't we, Mr. Vasey? We get ever so cheeky, and you can't be a part of that cheek train unless you buy a ticket to be on the vibe. Everyone just vomited it out.
Beautiful.
Ryan loved it. A bit of his Clarkson love coming out there. But yes, if you don't join the vibe, there should be a little bell. Click the bell. then make sure you subscribe, and then you'll never miss an episode. We also do the Extra Vibe, where we do top 10s, bringing some ideas of and opinions of different artists up and down the scene. And yeah, join the vibe. Thank you for supporting us, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, see you next week.